What a night at the Santiago Bernabeu. Real Madrid against Real Sociedad. And this wasn't just another fixture on the calendar. This was one of those matches that shapes seasons, defines narratives, and tests whether a team truly has championship DNA. The pressure, the expectation, the context of the title race, everything was amplified. And what we saw from Real Madrid wasn't just a win. It was a performance layered with maturity, tactical intelligence, and a statement of intent to the rest of the league. From the very first whistle, you could sense that this game carried a different emotional weight. Real Sociedad arrived organized, technically sharp, and tactically disciplined. They are not a side that collapses easily. They press with structure, defend with compactness, and transition with speed. This was always going to be a test of patience as much as quality. For Real Madrid, the challenge wasn't simply to outplay Sociedad, it was to impose authority without losing control. That balance is what separates contenders from champions. The opening exchanges told you everything about Madrid's mindset. There was no frantic urgency, no emotional overreach. Instead, there was controlled aggression. The pressing was coordinated rather than chaotic. The distances between the defensive line and midfield were compact, eliminating central spaces Sociedad liked to exploit. Madrid didn't overcommit bodies forward early. They were selective in when they accelerated. That discipline is often invisible to casual viewers, but it's critical in title-deciding matches. Real Sociedad attempted to establish rhythm through controlled possession. They circulated the ball across the back line, probing for openings, looking to draw Madrid out of shape. But Madrid didn't bite. They allowed lateral movement while sealing vertical lanes. The midfield screen was intelligent, cutting off passing angles into dangerous pockets. It's a small detail, but in games like this, denying your opponent their preferred patterns gradually erodes their confidence. Let's focus on Madrid's midfield, because that's where the psychological battle was won. The composure on the ball was exceptional. Instead of forcing direct passes into crowded channels, they recycled possession, patiently waiting for Sociedad's defensive block to shift out of alignment. The tempo wasn't constant, it fluctuated strategically. Slow build-up, sudden acceleration, switch of play, then a vertical incision. That rhythm manipulation is the hallmark of experienced sides. One of the key aspects was spatial awareness. Madrid's midfielders consistently positioned themselves between Sociedad's lines, forcing defenders into uncomfortable decisions. Step out and leave space behind, or hold position and allow progression. These micro-decisions add up over 90 minutes. Eventually, cracks appear. The breakthrough wasn't a product of randomness, it was the culmination of repeated structural stress applied to Sociedad's defensive shape. Defensively, Madrid demonstrated concentration levels befitting a title contender. Real Sociedad are dangerous in wide transitions, particularly when isolating fullbacks. Madrid anticipated that. The wingers tracked back diligently, doubling up to prevent overloads. The center-backs were proactive, stepping into passing lanes before attackers could turn. Even in moments of slight vulnerability, the recovery speed was sharp. Championship teams minimize damage quickly. They don't allow minor lapses to escalate into crises. What impressed me most was Madrid's emotional control. In high-stakes matches, tension can distort decision-making. Shots are rushed. Passes are forced. But Madrid maintained clarity. They trusted their structure. When Sociedad pressed higher in the second half, Madrid adjusted their build-up rather than panicking. Dropping a midfielder deeper to create numerical superiority in the first phase allowed them to bypass pressure cleanly. That in-game adaptability reflects strong communication between players and coaching staff. Carlo Ancelotti deserves significant credit. His approach wasn't about overwhelming Sociedad with chaos. It was about controlling the narrative of the match. He set up his team to dominate territory without exposing themselves defensively. The transitions were calculated. The substitutions were purposeful, injecting fresh energy at moments where Sociedad looked ready to increase intensity. Every decision seemed aligned with preserving balance while pushing toward victory. As the first half progressed, Madrid's attacking patterns became increasingly cohesive. The movement in the final third was intelligent. The striker drifted wide at times to pull center-backs out of position, creating central lanes for midfield runners. The wide players alternated between hugging the touchline to stretch the defense and cutting inside to combine. These rotations prevented Sociedad from locking into predictable defensive assignments. When the opening goal arrived, it felt inevitable rather than surprising. A sequence of controlled possession, a clever pass splitting lines, a composed finish. The celebration was passionate but measured, the reaction of a team aware that the job was not yet complete. That maturity matters. Too often teams relax after breaking through. Madrid intensified. The second half introduced a different dynamic. Sociedad increased their pressing intensity, trying to disrupt Madrid's build-up earlier. This is where the match could have swung emotionally, but Madrid responded with calm precision. Instead of engaging in a chaotic exchange, they slowed the tempo strategically. Short passes, controlled touches, drawing fouls. They forced Sociedad to chase shadows, gradually draining their energy. In title races, game management becomes an art form. The final 20 minutes of this match were a masterclass in it. Madrid recognized moments to accelerate and moments to conserve. They retained possession in safe zones, forcing Sociedad to expend energy pressing without reward. They managed throw-ins and free kicks with awareness of the clock. These are subtle details, but over a season, they accumulate into points that decide championships. Individually, several performances stood out. The central midfield anchor was relentless in defensive transitions, breaking up play and initiating counterattacks. The creative midfielder orchestrated tempo with maturity beyond his years. The defensive line maintained composure under pressure, clearing danger efficiently rather than theatrically. It was collective excellence, the kind that doesn't rely on a single superstar moment, but on systemic strength. This victory carries enormous psychological weight. In tight title races, perception can be as influential as mathematics. Rivals monitor not only results but performances. When they see Madrid controlling games against organized opponents, belief shifts. Doubt creeps in elsewhere. Momentum is not just about points, it's about aura. Madrid reinforced their aura tonight. Zooming out to the broader season context, this match represents a checkpoint. There are always phases in campaigns where fatigue threatens consistency, where minor injuries disrupt rhythm, where mental sharpness wavers. Madrid appear to be navigating that phase with discipline. Rotation has been managed intelligently. Squad depth is being utilized without destabilizing chemistry. Energy levels look balanced. Another key factor is leadership. Throughout the match, you could see constant communication. Defensive lines adjusting together. Midfielders signaling pressing triggers. Forwards coordinating runs. Leadership isn't only about wearing an armband, it's about collective accountability. Madrid displayed that in abundance. Real Sociedad deserve acknowledgement. They executed their plan with commitment. They pressed in organized waves. They attempted to isolate wide channels. But they encountered a side operating at championship calibration. Every tactical probe was met with a counter-adjustment. Every surge was absorbed and neutralized. That resilience is a testament to Madrid's preparation. As we approach the final stretch of the season, fixtures like this loom large in retrospect. When analysts review the campaign months later, this could be identified as a defining performance, not because it was spectacular, but because it was authoritative. Titles are not won through spectacle alone. They are won through consistency, structure, and emotional stability. There were imperfections, a few misplaced passes, occasional lapses in concentration. But champions don't chase flawless aesthetics, they chase solutions. Madrid found solutions repeatedly. When pressed high, they created overloads. When stretched wide, they recovered compactness. When leading, they managed tempo. The most striking element was inevitability. Once Madrid established control, the result felt aligned with trajectory. There was no sense of fragility. That psychological firmness is invaluable. It signals a team comfortable with responsibility. This match also reinforces the importance of squad cohesion. Rotational players contributed without disrupting balance. Star players embraced defensive duties. The collective identity remains intact regardless of individual selection. That unity is a competitive advantage. Looking ahead, challenges will intensify. Away fixtures in hostile environments, direct clashes with fellow contenders, potential injury setbacks. But the structural foundation displayed here suggests resilience. Madrid have defensive solidity, midfield orchestration, attacking efficiency, and tactical flexibility. It's a complete ecosystem. Ultimately, this wasn't just about 3 points, it was about narrative control in a title race. Madrid didn't merely respond to pressure, they absorbed it and converted it into clarity. They demonstrated why experience matters, why tactical discipline matters, why emotional intelligence matters. When you combine those elements with talent, you create momentum that feels sustainable. And sustainability is the currency of champions. If Real Madrid continue to deliver performances of this authority and composure, the destination of the title may become increasingly predictable. The race is still alive, but Madrid have just tightened their grip.